Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs podcast. Today we have with us Billy Price. How are you, Billy?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And thank you for taking the time to come on the show. We always like to allow our guests to introduce themselves in their own words, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, well, cool. So I'm Billy Price. I'm one of the two co-founders in the company Billy Footwear. We are, as the name implies, we're a footwear company. We're based out of Seattle, Washington, and I'm born and raised in this area. And it's interesting. Our business started as kind of a small little idea, a little bit of a side hustle, and that side hustle turned into a main hustle. And then we were able to step away from our day jobs and do this thing full time. So I'm excited to dig in.
That is awesome. So then you actually, you had a I'm not sure if I'm allowed to bring this up, but the spinal cord injury, right? That's what got you into all this?
I did. Yeah. So when I was a freshman in college, I was about 2 weeks into school. I fell out of a 3-story window, and it was a head first fall to concrete. And when that happened, it was a spinal cord injury at both right at my neck and also my lower back. And instantaneously, I really became paralyzed from the chest down. So
oh my God.
There were a lot of things I used to be able to do that I can no longer do. And I figured I had to do a lot of that stuff, just over the years. But the one thing that I never sorted out was shoes. So we were looking for some sort of a solution, a shoe-lution, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, good one.
To be able to put my shoes on by myself and, but also do something somewhat disruptive in the mainstream marketplace.
So how did you even get, apparently you have these shoes on some big shelves, right? So how did you get into these brand names? Would you like to share that story?
Yeah, you bet. So first off, to name off some of these big stores, we're in Nordstrom, we're in Zappos. In the Midwest, we're in Shields and Von Maur. In kind of the Southeast, we're in Shoe Sensation, Shoe Station. Some of the really bigger box stores would be Target. Later this year will be in W and Kohl's. We have shoes up in Canada, throughout Europe and Australia. So it's pretty incredible everywhere we've gone. And basically, like the premise of the design is there's zippers, and the zipper that goes on the outside of the shoe around the toe, which really allows the whole upper of the shoe to fold over, and you can drop your foot in unobstructed. Because that was the challenge that I had, having to shove my foot into a shoe. And but the question is, how do you go from idea to all these different stores? First off, it takes a lot of time and a lot of, getting connected with the right people. So like just through networking and just through word of mouth, we started to be able to get connected to the right people. And oftentimes it wasn't like you just called somebody up and say, hey, can you help us out? That person would help give us to somebody else. And then that person would get it to somebody else, and then on and on and on. And then when you get 3 or 4 or 5 deep down that line, then you're you're able to take some action.
And it's so important, right? Networking, that's my concept too. I'm big on growing together kind of thing, like just grow with everyone else. And it's funny that you mentioned that, right? That networking allowed you it opened up doors for you, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, and that's a term that we use quite a bit. So yeah, there were door openers. It wasn't like they got us into the stores. It wasn't like they brought us to the factories. What they did was they provided an opportunity for us to get in front of somebody just to tell the story, tell the bigger vision, tell the mission, talk about like just the struggles we had along the way. And, but just to really illustrate like the true potential. And a lot of times people could have said no, but instead they said yes. And from there, we were able to kind of collaborate and work together and really move the ball forward.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And then Billy, when you were actually searching for such a solution because you wanted something for yourself, did you have a difficult time like trying to locate something that you envisioned?
Well, great question. I mean, so I guess I would kind of go all the way back to when I was doing my rehab. I was in the hospital for about 5.5 months and really trying to figure out how to put my life back together, like what wheelchairs and replace my legs. I mean, how to write my name, how to brush my teeth, how to feed myself, how to dress myself. And through that whole deal, it's like, okay, well, I figured out the shirts and the pants, but then it was the shoes. So looking out in the market, it just, from what we saw, everything required you to shove your foot into a shoe. And the things that could work, I guess, it just had a look to it that was not appealing. It was just, and I was searching for like some sense of normalcy. I wanted to look like everybody else. So the last thing I wanted to do was wear something that looked different. So because of that, I really just gave up. So people were putting my shoes on for me for quite some time. And the way the idea came about was my other fellow co-founder, Darren. We grew up together. We rode the bus together, played baseball together growing up. Our paths kind of separated over a period of time. And when we got reconnected, he was telling me about a shoe project that he was personally working on, just something that he challenged himself. And it got me really excited. So I threw an idea at him. And that was simply like have that wraparound zipper. And we made a prototype from that conversation. I put my shoes on for the first time in 18 years. I broke my neck at 18,
wow.
36. And the moment was really so special. We knew we had to share it. So
did you record that? Did you record that video?
You know what? We did.
Where is that available?
It's on our YouTube channel. It's our YouTube channel is at Billy Footwear. And it's just a little video, quick, like 2-minute video that he shot with his phone. And I love that you brought that up because we knew that the moment was, because I hadn't seen the shoes yet. So he gifted them. We just knew it was going to be special, like a one-time thing that you wouldn't be able to recreate. So I'm like, Darren, you better get the camera rolling on this thing. And lo and behold, he's at the live show.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love this kind of stuff, like when you come up with the idea, and there's so many times that you wanted to record something, for example, that you had something happen, like something incredible. And say, oh crap, I missed it. I didn't record it. That's why I wanted to ask you if you actually did it. So that's great. You had that idea.
I would say that early on, knowing that, I just put this like kind of fear into my own body going like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard out there now being in a wheelchair that it really put me in a negative mental space. But I was able to change that mindset and focus on really what I still had and let go of what I lost. So when you talk about what are the challenges, I don't really look at it that way anymore because it's a matter of if there is a challenge, because we all have challenges. If there is a challenge, just a matter of leaning into that challenge and trying to figure out a way to get around it.
Yeah.
So I may have kind of dodged that question a little bit, but it's just a matter of trying to figure out what works and, leveraging what your resources are to be able to make it happen, be able to move forward.
Because, the mindset you required for your business is one thing, but there's other components in your story. It's not just starting a startup. Your mindset had to be quite strong because you had so many variables, right, that you had to work through.
That is true. But I will say that my personal story of being a wheelchair user and trying to overcome, having a life where I was fiercely independent to all of a sudden having a life that's more dependent. I would say that overcoming those challenges and making that kind of adjustment, it really had a lot of the same flavor of starting a business, especially in the shoe industry. I mean, the shoe industry is an incredibly competitive, challenging space. And for us, like a small little brand, to be disruptive in like a huge industry like that, it took some guts, it took some courage, it took some, our willingness to go out there and fail, but also learn from those failures and then just keep moving forward. So there's a lot of elements within our brand that kind of transcend from my own personal story. I mean, moving forward is definitely one of them, but our logo, for example, our logo is a goat, which is kind of a play on words, Billy Goat, but also just having a symbol that embodies perseverance, tenacity, grit. This is to put his head down and blast through anything. So that type of stuff.
Wow. Have you done any business before this? Any other business that you launched?
No, this is the first one. Prior to this, wow. I worked for the federal government. I worked for the Federal Aviation Administration. So wow. It was a very stable W-2 type job. And then I took the plunge with Darren to be full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah. Was it a good decision?
It was a good decision, and it is a
Yeah.
good decision, but it was a scary one.
Yes, of course. It always is. But you must have had some kind of belief though that you're gonna make this happen.
We did. We definitely had that belief, but at the same time, it was also a side hustle to start with. So it wasn't like we just like stopped our jobs and then all of a sudden did this. What we did was we had day jobs. We were working the 9 to 5 and then worked on shoes from 5 till midnight and on the weekends. And then as the business started growing, we were able to responsibly be able to take money out of the business. Because up to that point, it was a matter of all revenue was going right back into the business for product to really kind of move this thing forward.
Yeah, of course.
So it got to a point where one, the business could support both Darren and me, and then other team members. So we had other team members at that time too. But in addition to that, it just required so much more of our bandwidth, and we just did not have enough bandwidth to do both the day job and this. We just had to do this all the time.
Are you guys deciding or planning on expanding in other countries around the world?
We're always looking for other retail partners. So whether it be domestic or international, we're always looking to partner with somebody because we've noticed that there's a huge demand for shoes, especially shoes like ours, that kind of like bridges this gap between adaptive and non-adaptive. They kind of smashes fashion and function together. I mean, there's just so many entities out there that are so excited. So if there's a country out there that we don't have a partnership with currently, like, I don't know, Finland, anywhere like the Baltic states, whatever. Yeah. Reach out to info@billyfootwear.com. We'd love to get you hooked up.
Yeah. If anyone out there, if anyone is in a specific country and you see a need for this, get in touch with Billy. Because, even for me, Billy, like if I come across some opportunity, that's the reason or purpose of this whole show is to provide value as much as possible, not just in the audience direction, but in the guest direction, every direction, like the guest kids, you know what I mean? Like value. So if I could find someone, if I know someone that looking to expand or wanted to help you or work with you, I'll definitely let you know as well.
Oh boy, well, we appreciate that so incredibly much. I mean, the success of our brand has really been rooted in two things. One is relationship and just building those strong relationships, but also word of mouth and just getting connected to the right people to be able to, I mean, if you do good, if you add value to one person, that person you hope will add value to 2 more people and that person, 2 more people. And it's incredible how that just compounds over time. And then we start working as a community. And as a community, we really can take on any challenge.
Oh, Billy, we got something in common here because for me, that's exactly what has created is the relationships. And I always say, life itself is just one big relationship. And once I switched it over to just, like I said, growing together with everyone, whoever I can, it just changes everything. Right. And that's what it's done for you is those relationships that have brought you to this point that you're giving credit to. Of course, there's a lot to do with what you have done, obviously, but this will continue to grow because you're coming on these shows, you're providing this information, you're sharing your story. There's going to be opportunities and I'm sure you're going to explode. There's a need for it, right? And if there's a need for it, you just have to be out there. People will come to you and that's great.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's the law of reciprocity.
Yeah.
I mean, do good on one to do good on one, and then it'll come back to you. But you're not doing it to knowing that it's going to happen because that's more of a transition or a transactional relationship.
Wow, this amazing mindset you have. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, our mission statement is really like we want to add value and we want to make a measurable difference in the world 1 foot at a time, and that starts with the one. And it really is amazing how big of a number that could be when you start with the one.
Yeah. And not sure if this is true, but I'm going to ask you, your product is going to be in the next Blockbuster movie or Ghostbusters movie?
Yes. So our shoes landed on the feet of McKenna Grace, who was the main character in the movie Ghostbusters that released last November. Okay. So when up on the big screen, you see those red high tops being worn by McKenna Grace. That is our Rogue Red jersey high top. And it's funny because with the pandemic and everything, people weren't going to the movies, and that particular movie was set to launch 2 years prior, like really the summer of 2020, I think. But no one's going to the theater, so it got really, pushed out a little bit. But our team, we went to that movie, and it was so funny. We're sitting in the audience, and every time we saw the shoes up on screen, we just did a little cheer. It was just a very surreal, incredible moment.
I can't even imagine. Like, that must have been so incredible, sitting in a movie theater and seeing that. It flashes your entire life in front of you, right? You just, all of a sudden you see everything just whiz by to that point. It's like, wow. So it's completely incredible. And I'm so grateful and so happy for you guys, like you're making a change too, right? It's not just the product, not just the business. You're actually helping a specific need. You're actually providing a solution for it. Nothing can be better. So.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about it too is, and I think really the power of the brand is its ability to, it's kind of rooted in the word we use is universal design, meaning that it just kind of works for everybody, like a successful solution for everybody, like really rooted in inclusion. And what I mean by that is you don't need to have a disability to qualify yourself to wear the brand. That's where the inspiration came from, because I was having trouble put my shoes on. But here's an example where it's on the big screen with, a main actress, and she doesn't have a disability, but it's a stylish, trending shoe that she is successful with, but also someone that, say, is in a wheelchair or has autism or, wears some sort of foot brace, on their feet. Just the functional nature of the shoe, being able to drop your foot in, just stepping in to that footbed. It's a unique design that works great on the functional side, but it's also a clever one that, allows us to be on the shelves of these major retail partners, because it's just something different. And it really ties into the existing style lines of the shoe.
Yeah, that's awesome. We always like to ask our guests what their inner superpower is that got them to this point.
Oh boy. Oh my gosh. That's an awesome question.
Take your time.
That's an awesome question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would say an inner strength that I have is, it was given to me, it's called woo, like WOO, meaning win others over. And it's not like I'm coming across or trying to come across as a salesperson.
Yes.
But I would say that my superpower, if we want to call it that, is just the ability to connect. And we all have stories. And I certainly have a story, and you have a story, and everyone listening here has a story. And the part that I sincerely, truly love is hearing other people's stories.
Yes. And, same here.
So it's so cool. It's so awesome to be a brand that we can kind of help facilitate that, like create like a platform that people can share. And, there's lots of folks out there that when they get the product, they'll leave these reviews, like these just long reviews, not just like cool or like nice, like fit well. They leave pages of reviews. And you can feel like the tears between the lines, because they've had some sort of transformational experience given the shoes. Like all of a sudden they've regained some sort of independence that they didn't have before. Like all of a sudden this shoe becomes more than a shoe.
Yeah.
And to be able to, first provide something that lets them share their story and have the comfort in sharing their story, but then to be able to take that story and pay it forward to somebody else, that they can also receive value from it. That's really when we're helping each other. And that's a part that not only gets me excited, but I guess if you want to call it the superpower, I guess it kind of like makes my superpower a little bit stronger. No,
it's incredible. It's a good one. It got you to this point as well, right? So it's definitely a superpower, an inner superpower. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any kind of recommendations or kind of any suggestions or anything that you could provide the audience if anyone is disabled looking to get into business?
I would say three. There's three things that I would really touch on, and this is kind of, honing in on just our journey as a business owner. And I mean, and a few of them we've already touched on. One is just like the power of the network, the power of that relationship, like building that network around you. The network's not going to do it for you, but they're going to be able to provide like door opening opportunities to be able to like have a conversation with somebody to try to move whatever mission you have forward. The other thing is someone's not going to build it for you.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Someone's not going to build your business for you. Mm-hmm. So you have to be the one that is the most passionate and the most in love with your business to be able to be that light to keep that thing, growing and flourishing and just like keeping that culture alive. So it's not a matter of like coming up with an idea and then giving it to somebody else to build. You need to be the one to personally build it. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, I would say when it comes to failure, we're always kind of scared to fail, but at the same time, we learn so much when we fail. And failure is a really jagged pill to swallow, but I will say that our business would not be our business had we not failed and had these really troubling times. Because with each failure, yes, we went backwards, but it didn't stop us. What it did was it may have knocked us back 2 steps when we went forward 3, but we're still kind of moving forward. So the trick is when you fail, learn the lessons from that failure, pay it into the next endeavor, and have the courage to keep pushing on. Because when you push in, when you lean in, when you push against that resistance, you are going to rise and be better for it.
Amazing. They say failure is success tax, right? So everyone has to pay that tax. Don't be afraid of failure. And well said, Billy. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on this show, to spread that message, to share your story. And, in the audience, anybody that is looking for something unique, kicks, you got to get in touch with Billy. Billy, what's your website again? Sorry.
Yeah. So our website, the mothership, is billyfootwear.com. And on that website, there is it's an e-commerce site, so you can buy direct. Good. But we do have a lot of stores around the world. So there is a tab that says store locations. You can click on that and you can see all the different store partners that we have really around the world. And then on social, everything is at Billy Footwear, just the @ sign and then Billy Footwear. We keep it pretty simple.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much again, Billy, for taking the time. I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're doing. I hope you continue to experience growth and come up with more creative ideas. I just sense that there are some ideas being worked on, and the vibe that I'm getting, there's some new stuff coming. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm sensing. But if you are, I hope you find success in it, growth in it, because you're definitely doing things for others. And I'm a big fan of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you're definitely right. We do have a lot of things in the cooker right now. And it's just really, really excited. And we're all excited for it, but it's going to add a ton of value to everybody.
That's awesome. That's it. That's all it's all about, right? Adding value. You don't worry about anything else. Just add value. Everything else is just like a default. So that's great. And again, thank you, audience. Again, get in touch with Billy. Check out his website. Make some purchases. Check out his kicks. Check out his footwear. Spread this message. If you know anyone that is disabled that needs help, this is a site that you want to refer to them, right? To check out. It's unique. It looks cool. You want to check it out. Again, all their social media pages, follow them, comment, connect, whatever you can, even our super entrepreneurs channels, subscribe, comment, all my pages, engage, send us DMs. Love to hear from you. Thank you so much to the audience. And thank you so much to Billy. Have a great day.